May the words that I speak and the thoughts and wonderings of all of our hearts draw us closer to God, who is our rock and our Redeemer. Today, our church, our congregation, got a little bit bigger. And that is great news. That is wonderful news. We are growing in love and in companionship with each other. And you know, the promises that we make when someone gets confirmed is we promise to be a Christ-like community. So I called my sermon today Something in the Air. Do you know that feeling when you walk into a room and how it's affected by certain things? For example, you walk into a room where people have been fighting, you can feel it. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna turn around and go away. You walk into the home of a beloved family member or friend, and you just feel the weight fall off of you. There's something in the atmosphere of the room. And we are called to create a good atmosphere, a good feeling in the air, so that when people come to church, they feel good about it. They feel comfortable and alone. Or perhaps our job, and this is where it gets tricky, is to afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. So if we come into church, maybe we are gently reminded of what more we can be. But we feel at home and loved and surrounded by care, so we can grow and learn and continue to deepen our relationship with God. And we can only do that by deepening our relationship with the rest of humanity. So part of me wanted to just read one verse of that passage from Philippians and just leave it there. Do all things without murmuring and arguing. Verse 15, so you may be blameless and innocent. So there's all kinds of things that people talk about and think about and consider to be problematic and sinful, and we like to think of things that are big and beyond us and bad things that we never ever do. But the reality is that some of the greatest harm that can come in the community of faith can come from murmuring and arguing. So whether that's talking under our breath at a meeting or talking about people in a way you wouldn't talk about them in front of them, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is how to be that kind of community where we don't talk about people in a way we wouldn't be comfortable talking about them in front of them. So if I'm going to say something like, Leanne always keeps me right on track and I love working with her because she's so organized, I can say that and she's here, right? And she's probably a little bit embarrassed and not going to come to church again for a while because I centered her out. But I can say that in front of her because I can say that behind her back because I would say it in front of her. These ideas, some that come, that's not directly scriptural to not say something in front of somebody you wouldn't say in front of them, but it grows out of this idea. If we are this different kind of transformed community, we want the air to be clear. We want things to be good. So I was thinking about something I saw on a t-shirt, and I've seen it in a few different formats. And it says, before you speak, think. So this is a little acronym. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And that spells out think. I've also, and it's actually Buddhist. It's based on a statement of a similar nature, but it basically says to guard your words around, is it true, is it necessary, and is it kind? But it makes a better acronym if you put in, is it helpful and is it inspiring? And those are also good questions to ask. So I was thinking about suppers, specifically mashed potatoes in general. Really want to talk about potatoes because I want to say up front, I love big suppers, and no matter how you prepare your potatoes, I love them. But for the sake of this sermon, I might seem like I have some pretty strong biases, when really I just have some slight preferences. You only do it about 3 times a year, but when I do mashed potatoes, there is like a pound of butter and a pint of whipped cream in them. And they are whipped. I take out the hand mixer, where you stick the things in, and I bought it at a church sale, and it's got a long brown cord. It's ancient. You can't buy an appliance with a long cord like that anymore. And I whip up those potatoes within an inch of their life. That is how I like them. So, let's say I'm at my Aunt Ruth's. God love her and bless her, and she's 98 years old. She's no longer cooking for us. And it is totally fine, like I said before, that she makes her potatoes. She takes the potatoes, she takes a teaspoon of butter and a masher, and she kind of mashes them a little bit, and there you go. If you're lucky, you might just get the potato just boiled. Butter's on the side. So how do I react? What will happen? If I mutter under my breath, if I turn to my sister and say, oh, I hate the way she does potatoes. Honestly, I only remember sitting around, crowded around Aunt Ruth's table, and it being awesome to be together as family. But if I mutter under my breath, why can't she make the potatoes like Dad does with the whipped cream? Then my sister feels uncomfortable because she's not sure how she's really supposed to respond. Nobody wants to be rude. We don't want Aunt Ruth to overhear or think we don't like the supper that she made. So is it true that I don't like the potatoes as much? They're not my favorite? Yes, it's true. So should I say something about it? Well, is it helpful? We'll try another scenario for helpful. What if someone's lactose intolerant and they're coming to my house? Now, if this is their first and only time coming and they don't communicate to me that they're lactose intolerant, that's not my problem. It's their job to tell me. Okay, you've got to put that out there. But if they come and they haven't said anything and we haven't thought about it, and they say, oh, you made the potatoes with butter, I can't have them, and they're muttering under their breath, that isn't helpful. But what is helpful is if they say beforehand, I'm coming over for dinner, I just want to let you know that I'm lactose intolerant, so you make whatever you want, but know that I can't eat anything if it's got butter in it or milk. And then I'll know that, okay, we can cook this, we can work around this. Maybe I'll take a few potatoes and set them aside, and maybe I'll be feeling super generous and put a bunch of vegan butter and almond milk on them and whip them up just the same. Or maybe I'll do that for the whole thing, because that would be wonderful. Nobody told me they have an almond allergy. I know I'm talking to people who have prepared these big family feasts, and you know the stress of it, right? If they're, it's harder to make ourselves vulnerable and say, you know what, I can't eat that, or I really don't like that. So it's helpful. So if you are going to communicate that there's something that isn't working well for you, Can you do so in a way that's like, is it helpful information? And then think, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Like, is it gonna make anything better to say this thing you want to say? Is it gonna make anything better if you say it? Are you talking to the right person? Is it gonna help? And if not, then you might not need to say it. Is it necessary? Maybe it's already been said. We don't need to say the same thing over and over. And finally, is it kind? Now, I want to point out something really important. There's a difference between nice and kind. If someone's left their shirt untouched by accident, and it's like your sister or your brother or your friend, and it doesn't feel nice to say to them, your shirt's untucked, dude. But it's probably kind. It's probably kind to, in a loving way, tell someone a truth they don't want to hear. Because this isn't just about the surface stuff I'm talking about. The surface stuff is easy to talk about, and then hopefully you can take that home and work on the harder things. Because what we say and do, how we act, can transform the space for the people we're with. And if we give in to the spirit that has us, we had into more trouble with our tongues than anything else. If we give in to muttering about our neighbors, our family, our friends, it sort of shifts the air and makes it yucky. And when Paul talks about don't argue. I've got a Cranberries song in my head. There's no need to argue, from the 1990s. It's flannel, grungy, the world's going to end anyway rock. There's no need to argue. No need to argue anymore, just kind of given up. And I don't think that that's what that's saying. But I'll admit something. I love debating. I love talking about ideas with people and wondering about things and trying to put the pieces together and being curious. So how do we find that line between healthy conversation and debate and sharing of ideas that doesn't descend into, I wonder if bickering would be a better word, except bickering is a little gendered, isn't it? Do men bicker? I'm not sure. I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot, but would you ever think that those two are just bickering away? It's the idea of, if it's just about your ego, are you saying these things to be kind or to be inspiring? Or are you saying them to win? To have everyone think you're smart? I am preaching to myself all the time. I'm preaching to myself. And that's one of my big things. I like to talk so people will think I'm smart. It's not 100% healthy, and poor Leanne is, I've got things going on in my life right now so that my mind is in a lot of different places. And so poor Leanne has been listening to me yammer on about everything. True, right? Because, I have this innate need to be made to feel smart. At least I know I'm doing it. And she's very patient to listen to me. So this is our call, all of us, to guard our mouths and ask, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And in this way, we can build up the kind of community that we promised Joan and Arlene we would be. Thanks be to God. Amen.